I'll just start it rolling right now, and then afterwards I'll just send the audio to that email address you gave me then, or
Yeah.
that
You can
works?
send it there. Yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah, I could definitely do that. You bet.
And I want you to perform a song at the end, man.
Yeah, I got something ready. Yeah, I got my my Gitalele ready. I do a small song at the end. You bet.
Okay, all right.
Awesome, man.
Okay, let me get started. This is episode number 8. My name is Dion Davis. This is the Dion Davis Show called Positivity is the Way to Go. And my guest today, my guest today, he's been playing, performing, and promoting music since age 16, and he is the lead singer and vocalist of the international recording artist Ground Level Falcons. Welcome, my guest today, Matt Gardiner.
Yeah, thanks, Dion. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the introduction there as well. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, happy to be on your show.
You are welcome. What made you want to do music? What made you want to do what you're doing right now?
So you know what? Like I had a fascination with even with recording, just even voice recording. So I would almost say I was interested almost in podcasting before music. I had one of those just little kind of shoebox recorders when I was young, and kind of figured out how to dub my voice onto it with a little microphone and all that. So that was kind of my first introduction to anything like just recording in general. But then I picked up music pretty quick as far as just, again, a fascination or a, sort of a passion for it. Pretty young, I guess, when I was, 9 or 10, I was pretty into at the time. I mean, aging myself a bit here, but I was into like, hair metal a little bit like that. So I like the flashy guitar solos and that sort of thing. So basically what happened is one of my friends down the street got an electric guitar when he was about, I want to say 12 and I was 13. I was a year older than him, and just seeing what you could do with the instrument just like blew my mind. Just the fact that you could plug it into an amp and get this kind of distorted sound, and it was just available for like fairly cheap, a couple $100. So that was a turning point for me at about 13. So I went and got my first electric guitar and amp at that point and started taking guitar lessons. And yeah, by the time I was 16, I was sort of, I guess, performing in front of people. I always had the idea of like performing in front of people as sort of an end goal. Like it's kind of a, all the practice kind of climaxes in this performing for people. So I've always had sort of I guess, yeah, that in mind. I've always wanted to have my practicing pay off in the form of a performance in front of people, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, pretty early on to answer your question.
Yeah, I don't know how to play any instruments. I know how to sing, but no instrument though for me.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
can't even play a flute.
So, but you do a bit of singing, do you?
Yeah, I got a good voice, but I'm
Nice.
not good with no instrument though.
No, I mean it's like
Yeah.
anything, right? You got it. It's trainable. I was pretty bad, to start as well. I mean, arguably still bad. I guess depends on it's subjective, right? But
I had music class and I still was bad at it.
oh
I
yeah,
sounded horrible even in music classes. So.
is that yeah? Not your bag, eh? Yeah,
Yeah. Not my expertise, man.
yeah, for sure. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So what was your most memorable moment, like performance that you ever had?
You know what? I had it was it was really cool. We ended up playing so I think we had an album that we released in 2012 that we'd actually got a grant to record. So it was kind of our closest thing to a professional recording that we had done, and just had a lot of momentum built up from that, a lot of confidence, right? It's a good confidence booster to kind of have this really sort of smooth sounding, production quality behind you. So we were kind of, and yeah, I think that was kind of our peak as a band up till this point, anyways, as far as just we were really well practiced and we had a lot of extra time. I think, being that's almost 8 years ago now, most of the guys in the band now have, young families and all that. So a little bit harder to get together and practice, as you can imagine. But so back in 2012 to 2014, I think, is when we were really dialed in and practicing our most. And we had a show in 2014. There's a venue up here called the Starlight Room, which is kind of kind of like the number one venue that isn't like a big, stadium or arena or that kind of thing. So it's like, a capacity of about 500 people, that kind of thing. So we ended up playing supporting act. I think we were the second band on that night, and it was in front of pretty close to capacity. So I want to say, between 450, 500 people. And I remember going up there and yeah, we're used to kind of playing in, the holes in the wall and, all the varying, like you go from 8 people to 80 people, like all that kind of thing. So to actually play in front of a fairly substantial audience was a huge rush and kind of felt like a breakthrough moment for us. And I even did the whole kind of cheesy, like, so how's everybody doing tonight? And then had the whole like response back of cheering. I'm like, man, that actually worked. Like, so that was kind of a trip for us. Cause it's pretty few and far between that you can get just everything just dialed in. We almost had the best time slot on the night. Like we came on, I want to say about 10 o'clock. Oftentimes the headliners, when they come on, it's like pretty late, like 11:30 or 12. So people are either, ready to go home or drunk or both, so yeah, we had kind of the prime, prime time slot there. So that was probably the favorite, I guess, look back. It was almost like a dream sequence where you're looking out and it's just those people as far as you can kind of see. And as far as, the lights kind of catching your eye but everywhere you can see you just this blur of people and they're all responding to what you say. I was like, man, that was really cool. That was enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel you. They was like, "Let's go!"
Oh
how
yeah,
people get when they drunk and everything at a concert.
man, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Cause like usually you're like, I don't know, when you're in a pub or something, you're like, hey, how's it going tonight? And a couple of your, your buddies are like, yeah, but this time there was like a legit, like, oh, I'm like, holy, that worked. And it was crazy. It felt pretty good.
Yeah, I watch TV before I be hearing the drunk people like, man, they crazy. They just keep yelling and stuff,
Yeah.
yelling and yelling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, well, they be quiet.
Yeah. That's fun though too, right? I know I'm kind of expect it now. It's almost like not heckling, but kind of, and it's fun because as soon as any interaction with the audience is fun to me. So even if there's somebody like I have a couple of my buddies that usually get pretty tuned at these shows and they're yelling stuff at me and I just, we just go with it and kind of answer back and it's fun. It's kind of part of the show. It's sort of entertaining, right? So
Yeah. What is a famous celebrity that like your music that you have talked to on social media or in person or have met them before?
okay, so I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you've heard of him before, Matthew Good. So he's a Canadian artist. So I don't know how big he is. Like I think he's had a degree of success in the States and whatnot, but pretty big artist here in Canada. And like I met him and talked to him, but unfortunately I kind of, just because I'm such a big fan, I was quite young or quite a bit younger when I did meet him. So I didn't feel like I had the greatest conversation with him. It was kind of like the fanboy, like, oh, I love your music. Right. I think I would like to think I'd have probably a better conversation with him now. I would hope so anyways. But I got him actually autograph one of my guitars and stuff like that. So it was a cool moment. Don't get me wrong. But, I think, at the time my star struck kind of persona came out where instead of having a natural normal conversation with them, I kind of just did the oh my god like and the fanboy thing, but yeah, no, I'm a big fan of him. And yeah, he's kind of like, so just to put it in context, I'm from Edmonton, but I'm actually from British Columbia, which is kind of the west side of Canada, and he's from kind of like the west coast, like Vancouver area. And yeah, he made it big basically on the strength of an independent album release. It's kind of still renowned as like one of the best selling and just sort of best independent recordings in Canadian history, especially for the genre, for the rock genre. So I've always sort of used him as sort of a blueprint for myself as far as what I can realistically set these types of goals and all that. So I think that was kind of one of the other reasons why I was just like, so oh my goodness, this guy, like, this is a guy that funded his own first record, and he's like this big star now in his home country and stuff like that. So I thought it was, yeah, that's kind of a little backstory on why I have such a, I guess, fascination with him.
What made you want to form the band with the guys you perform with?
Okay, yeah. So at the time when I met Brendan, who's the drummer, so me and him have been playing together for over 15 years now, so a long time. He was still a teenager, I think, when we first started jamming. Him a few years older than him. So I'd been in a couple bands where I was just doing sort of, I was the guitar player, like chief songwriter, but I always wanted to be, the front man, I guess. So that was always kind of on my mind. So when I met Brendan, at the time I was like, I think I was in 2 or 3 bands. Well, he would have been the third band by that point. And the other bands, they were good, they were satisfying, but I still wanted to be kind of the everything. Like, just that was my vision for my own music, I guess, was that I was the singer. I'm not really sure why. I guess that's just how I felt about it. So I remember kind of seeing him one time, and we all obviously, when you're in the group of musicians that we are, you have these different scenarios where you kind of have 3 or 4 bands kind of come together, and we all jam, and everybody kind of switches out on the instruments and that kind of stuff. So those are always really fun. Not so much nowadays, obviously, with the circumstances being what they are. But yeah, so it was kind of one of those deals where I sort of met him at one of those, and kind of had the drunken conversation of, what, man, like we got to jam sometime. Like, I got some ideas and all that. And I didn't think anything was going to come of it. And actually one time, just by happenstance, I ran into him at a show, and it was like probably 300 or 400 people there, and we just happened to kind of cross paths, and he's like, "Hey man, like, when are we gonna actually do this? I thought we were gonna jam." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so you're still interested?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." Gave me his number and all that. So, and then the rest was history. We basically had the jam, I think, the next week, and just instant chemistry. It was just kind of one of those things. It felt so good. I still remember it. Like, kind of gave me goosebumps. Like, just as soon as I started a song, he was just like, he knew what to play. It was just, and it was kind of one of my more sort of complex songs that had all these different riffs and part changes. And he was just following me on all of them. I'm like, oh man, this is going to work. It was great. So that was kind of the story with Brendan and myself. And we're just like, peas in a pod. Like, we've never had a fight. We're just get along really well. So myself and him have been in a few different projects since 2006. So it's been a while. And you know what I mean? When you put that much time and experience together, it's almost like I don't have to explain anything to him. It's just kind of, okay, this is my new song. He kind of knows my different ways of songwriting. We can kind of challenge each other, but still we have this familiar sort of way of communicating through music with ourselves. And the other members, mainly Greg, who's the bass player now, same kind of deal. He was in that same sort of scene of that pocket of 4 or 5 bands that always were kind of hanging out and jamming. And he's kind of the most talented of the group. He went to Grant MacEwan, which is our music college here in Edmonton, and did a performance major. So he can play jazz. He can play like the upright bass. He can, like, he's just sick. Like, he's got some fantastic musical skills, and he's really good at with like arranging. So he's kind of our filter as far as if I kind of go off the deep end on some of these lengthy song arrangements and all that. And he's like, okay, well, if we just cut this out, it's going to make the song better. It'll kind of still get the point across, but it's going to be tighter. And I'm always kind of like, yeah, he kind of reels me back in. So that's kind of the chemistry with him. But same thing. It was always like, he was in a band, and Brendan and I were in a band. We were always kind of playing shows together. And then eventually his band sort of broke up and disbanded. And then we were looking for, to kind of change our sound, which ended up becoming Ground Level Falcons. That's when I got that grant, the $10,000 grant to record an album. So that's when I approached him. I said, hey, like, we've known each other 10 years. Like, are you interested in, helping me out with this record? And he said, absolutely. And, he's been kind of playing with us since then. So the band, Ground Level Falcons, has been together since late 2011, I guess. And our first album was 2012. So, going on close to a decade now, like 8.5, 9 years. So that's kind of the story behind the band, I guess. We've always sort of, known each other, and then, just kind of formed naturally out of just some friendships, basically.
Yeah, what is the difference between being in Canada performing and being in the United States performing the States?
Oh man, I just from what I gather, I think down in the States, you guys have so much like a population density where it's pretty easy for you guys to go out and tour potentially, as opposed to Canada. You got to think like we got some big cities, don't get me wrong, but they're so few and far between. Like, to do a big tour of the entire country of Canada is quite an undertaking, and there's a lot of dead time in between cities, right? Where you might be able to hit up a little town here or there, but I think we kind of do it regionally. We just sort of keep in the west side of Canada, I guess. Alberta, BC is kind of our our range, just because there is so many, kilometers or miles between towns. So we just sort of keep it between those two provinces for now. Luckily there is, the reach with the internet has, we've got our music played in 15 different countries, outside of Canada by now. So it's great. Like, that has made the world a lot smaller, but the actual reality of going out and traveling within the world, that stays the same, right? So to kind of answer your question, I think there's a benefit with the population density and the amount of cities and everything in the States that hopefully one day we're going to try and, get down there and actually capture that, because, man, there's a lot of great places and just, venues that we've heard of growing up, that, like, the Seattle scene. I'm a 90s kid, so, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those bands, I'd love to go play in, some of those famous, venues down in Seattle. And that's not too far from us and that kind of thing. But yeah, answer your question. Yeah, it's Canada's pretty spread out. So you gotta put some kilometers in or some miles in to get your shows in. That's for sure.
And what do you think about when your team won a championship in basketball? And
Oh
the
yeah.
sports teams in Toronto right now.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool for sure. That's a good moment. That was cool. I'm not like a huge sport guy. I was big into the Toronto Blue Jays, of course, growing up. So that was neat too. The back-to-back World Series. Yeah, Raptors, that was really cool. Especially because being closer to Vancouver. Man, we had the Vancouver Grizzlies for not very long, a couple of years, and they were gone. So yeah, our own team is the Raptors now. So yeah, no, very, very cool. My dad, who actually he passed away a couple of years ago, he was a massive Raptors fan. So he had actually passed away right a couple months before that whole championship. So it was I know he was pretty happy. He was pretty happy with that. I had that kind of in the back of my head when that was happening for sure.
Yeah, because I'm in Chicago, so I'm
Yeah,
a Bulls fan and
nice.
everything.
Yeah.
I'm a Cubs fan, so when they won for the first time in 100 years, I was like, man, about time.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It only took 100 years. Yeah.
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 uh, yeah, so you want to perform right now, or you want me? I can ask that a question.
Yeah, no, if you got any other questions, if not, no, I definitely got a song for you. First of all, yeah, just thanks again for having me on your show. It's great. I really like the title that you have there, and and just I would love to have you on my podcast as well sometime. So I'll definitely reach out. But yeah, I do have if you don't have any other
Yeah,
questions,
yeah. I'll come on, man. I'll
yeah,
come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah, man, for sure.
Definitely.
Oh, I love it. Sounds good. No, thanks, Dion. And yeah, just the best of luck with you and your show. I do have a quick song. If you don't have any other questions, I definitely prepared one for you. It's kind of one of our newer ones. If you want me to do that, I can do that as well.
Yeah, you go ahead and sing because we got a couple more minutes left. So you
Sure.
can perform.
For sure. Thanks, Dion. Okay, yeah, and just a quick.
This is Matt Gardiner performing one of his hit songs.
Yeah, well, not quite a hit yet. I think it's one of the new ones. So hopefully it will be a hit. So this one's called Just What You Should Do. And I'm just going to be playing on, it's a guitar ukulele hybrid, Gitalele it's called. So it kind of sounds a little bit different. And yeah, thanks again for having me on your show there, Dion. And yeah, here we go without further ado. Take the time to run the heights, the artist takes a warping. I drove to town to show you what I found, and a surgery out by the tree, a new wilderness, a new start, and yet I care about my disguise, and I've murdered without you, but now I figured out just what I should do, and your head till the morning dark. tasted the pipe before you left. I turned it up magnificent into the clouds. Mourns many others. Examine things, place it up to me. I'm a warning, like my father. All right.
That was a great performance, man. Thank
awesome.
you for coming on the show again, man.
Anytime, man.
I'll go on your podcast.
Yeah.
Just let me know when you want me to come more.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to look up the band, it's groundlevelfalcons.bandcamp.com. And yeah, my podcast is 10 albums. It's off of Spreaker there. And yeah, I would love to have you on, Dion. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You are welcome anytime. I'll see you in the future, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Take care. All the best.
All right. You too.
All right. Take care, man.